In your seated position, let us begin with a diaphragm massage to release tight fascial tissue, and also across the crest of your pelvic or hip bones. This does help to make the vacuums more efficient. Take a little side stretch from one side to the other and rotate at the waist just to release the spinal column. Take your hands to your shins and lengthen your arms. Relax your tummy and let us go through the first 3 breaths. Sitting upright as though you have a wall at your back. After the 3rd exhalation, with a very soft tummy, create a false breath in. And as you do, straighten and lock the arms and lift your chest through the arms to intensify the position. 2 breaths in this time. Take your time. False breath and intensify the position. So lift up through the chest, lock out through the arms. 1 breath only this time. False breath and lock and lift. Notice how the intensification of the position makes the vacuum feel. Take the soles of the feet together. This is going to wake your pelvic floor up. The connection of the feet touching one another sends a signal through to the pelvic floor. Holding onto the ankles or the shins, we're going to perform a similar movement to the first round. And after your first 3 breaths, create your false breath in by closing off your airways, and then lift and lock again in that position, this time drawing your heels a little closer to your pelvic structure, so you'll feel a stretch on the inner thighs. 2 breaths for your next vacuum. Into the false breath. Intensify and draw the heels a tiny bit closer. Even if it's a millimeter closer, that will make the difference to release tightness. Single breath. False breath in. Lift and lock and stretch the inner thighs, keeping that chin retracted through all of the movement. Well done. Taking your hands just behind your hips, either onto the knuckles or the flats of your hands. We're going to flex the feet and intensify through the legs. Take 3 breaths in. And when you are ready to make your false breath, I want you to intensify the foot position, really locking out through the front of the legs and lifting the heels off the floor if you can. 2 breaths for this round. Keeping lifted through the chest. And intensify the feet. Single breath into apnea. False breath when you're ready. And intensify. See if you can get your heels to come away from the floor. We're going to add on a hip lift through the second round. So you might want to reposition your feet to give you a bit more stability. 3 breaths like we've done with previous repetitions. When you're ready, we're going to go into the false breath in and then lift up through the glutes, squeezing the bottom muscles, pushing the hips up and tucking the chin into the chest. Inhale on the return, 2 breaths. Keep lifting through the chest, keep flexing through the feet. Ready for your false breath. Hip lift, lock out, and on the in-breath, come down. Single breath this time, false breath, elevate, lock out. Hold it. Return back to your seated position. And we're going to roll down to the floor. So exhale as you roll down so that your spine is protected by your core muscles. Stretch the arms over your head. And let us take 3 breaths here. Let the tummy muscles move naturally with your breath. If you find the arms overhead position too much for your shoulders, you can bring the hands to the ribs. But if you feel okay in this position, keep the arms so the hands are a little wider than the shoulders. Into the false breath, we're going to squeeze the bottom, flex the feet, and stretch the arms out. So you'll feel yourself lift away from the floor on the glute squeeze. Let's go for 2 breaths. Same movement. So once you're in your false breath in, you will activate the glutes, squeeze, flex the feet, and stretch the arms away. Hold it, and inhale again. Single breath into apnea. False breath. Intensify. Lock it out and hold it. Well done. Breathe in, relax, and let's change position. Bend the knees, take the hands to the floor. Now rotate the hands in towards the hips and lift the toes into our 3 breaths in and out. Shoulders are relaxed and away from the ears. When you create your false breath in, we're going to use this intense position for the arms and begin to press the ceiling away with the hands. So create your false breath and then push the arms over the head, keeping that intensity in the hands and the elbows. Keep lifting the toes, inhale to return, and let us go for 2 breaths. False breath is ready. Press the ceiling away. Squeeze the bladder if you want to create a little more intensity. And bring the hands back on the in-breath. One more false breath for this movement. Notice your shoulder flexibility in this position. Can you get your hands all the way to the floor? Reposition your feet. Rest the palms on the floor. 3 breaths into your next false breath in. Keeping your attention on the shoulders being relaxed. The chin is retracted. The false breath is here. And then begin to lift the hips and press the hips up towards the ceiling. It can be hard to maintain the vacuum in this position, so don't be surprised if you lose a little bit. Let's go into 2 breaths. And you'll notice the more you practice this, the better you will become at holding the vacuum in a hip lift. False breath and lift. Squeeze the glutes. And let's come back down for 1 more. Breathe in. Breathe all the air out into apnea. Make your false breath and intensify through the hips. Squeezing the gluteals. Try to take the hamstrings out of it. Make the gluteals do the main part of the work. Inhale, return the spine to the floor. Well done. Give your knees a little hug into the chest just so we can release the lumbar spine. If you want to hold on to the back of the thigh, that's okay. Extend one leg and then switch and extend the other, releasing hip flexors and back at the same time. Well done. You can continue on to part 3 if you have time, or use this as a quick fix core workout on its own.